Live on a Tuesday edition. Merely Bo, the great Z. How you living, buddy?
I'm doing well. Obviously, we talked about it already ad nauseum at this point. We don't live in the best weather area in the world.
Oh, man.
Today's a little tough. Little ice out there, little ice baby.
I heard West Side, it was like, oh, my gosh. The way I was looking at you, the glare from outside on Uno looked as if he had like a nose bandage because there was a piece of white snow.
Uh-huh.
It was almost like he got hit in the nose.
You looked at me gravely concerned.
I thought,
I was scared for myself. I didn't know what happened.
You remember when J.J. Watt would have like the broken nose every week?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I looked like. I looked at Uno and I just saw the white and I thought, my God, did he break his nose? And I didn't even notice. Bad job out of me. No, this is it. This is it. This is the worst. Give me last week. 18, sun, fine. Fine.
Agreed.
I'll take it. I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah.
But I'll take this. And West Side had ice and brutal. Like schools were closed, I think, a lot of places on the West Side. We didn't have that. We were full go.
We were good. We were rocking and rolling. Rolling. How are you doing?
Yeah. I did get
a new pen.
I did get a new pen. Yeah. I did get
the hot pink.
Last night I had one of the. It's very rare that you can cite and be inspired in parenting by Ashley Schaefer from Eastbound and Down. That's rare that happens.
Okay.
That there are lessons to be learned there. So, two littles go to bed. NBC can hang out a little bit. He's 12 now.
Yeah.
And so we're bouncing around. I still like to flip. I still like my flipping. And I can't even remember what I was watching on one of them. It could have been the Cavs game. It could have been some basketball. And I went to break, and I always look to the movie channels for something to entertain me for a couple of minutes while we're at break.
Yeah.
So I hit into
real short attention span.
Yeah, I don't like 2.5 minutes. I don't like 2.5 minutes. Like, it's right into something else. I can't. Yeah. So I pop into HBO. Skyfall's on. Love Skyfall. Great Bond movie. I prefer Casino Royale, but it's my second favorite probably. So right after MI6 gets blown up, so we're all sitting there, the blonde, NBC, and myself, and we're watching. And right after MI6 gets blown up, it cuts immediately to Bond passionately making out with, and neither he nor the making out-ee are wearing shirts on the top.
Okay.
Now, you don't see anything because it's Bond.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's Bond. It's PG-13,
right.
so you're not seeing anything, but it's plenty leading you to believe what's happening there.
For sure.
So my wife is, change it. What are you doing? Change it. You can't watch this. And I thought of Ashley Schaefer. I said, let him watch.
Let him watch.
Let him watch what is consecrated here.
That's right.
She's like, it's not appropriate. I'm like, he's 12.
12.
I promise he's seen it. He needs to see this. What's going to happen? This is where he's at. He's safe.
He's going to be fine. Yeah.
He's safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going to be fine.
Yeah, that's where you're at.
Don't worry about it. I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
So that it's rare that you can use an Eastbound and Down.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
I thought you were maybe we're going to have running through the field while cannons were launched at him or something like that.
That has not happened.
No, good.
Now, how far are you on the Gemstones? How far did you finish that up?
I'm into season 3.
Is that the final one?
It is the only one remaining. I don't know if they're coming with a fourth.
I mean, the first episode is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I haven't watched the first episode of season 3 yet.
So you're not there yet?
So I finished.
This season 3 is my favorite of the 3.
I finished season 2.
Yeah.
Where what's his name?
Uncle Baby Billy?
No, not Uncle Baby Billy. The guy that they were going to do the resort with.
Oh, yeah.
Turned out to maybe not be a great
Zion's
guy.
Landing?
Zion's Landing, yeah. That guy. So they
chase him to the Arctic?
That. Yeah, they covered. Yeah, they took him out.
Took him out.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
Yeah. So then I guess maybe, and then the next one says maybe I did watch the beginning of it, but we were flying back and it starts in the 70s, I want to say, or something like that.
It might. I mean, the first scene
around.
is one of the first scenes you see is.
Oh, they're on a race car.
They're on a race car, yeah. And Uncle Baby
pits.
Billy's got what amounts to like a Vegas play because they built their own.
Right, yeah. He's got his Vegas
and he's
show
singing
house.
his song, yeah. And he's
Okay.
not pleased because
but
things aren't good enough for him.
I just started, I finished, I wanted to see what they came up, and I remember the racetrack part of it.
Yeah, so there you go. That's it.
It's
I've
great.
tried to watch the Night Country thing. It's too dark. I got to save that for summer. The True Detective on HBO.
Oh, the new one? Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
I can't do it. It's set in. I watched like the first 5 minutes. It's set in Alaska, after the solstice, so there's no sun. I get enough of that here.
Yeah, not interested.
I can't do that. Can't have it.
Yeah.
All right, your hot topics of the day presented by Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. Multiple reports on this one. The Browns are hiring former Notre Dame quarterback coach and Notre Dame quarterback, offensive coordinator, and Alabama offensive coordinator most recently, Tommy Rees, to be the tight ends coach. Zach Jackson, among others. Rees will have a hand in the overall development of the passing game, and his exact title is still uncertain. These are all reports, of course. At this point.
Yes.
This is my interaction or tangential connection to Tommy Rees's, which is probably the best way you could put it. So Laurinaitis was on the staff at Notre Dame last year, Marcus's first year when Tommy stayed and was the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. And I've had many conversations with him about that program and how it was all going. And when Tommy left to become the offensive coordinator at Alabama, I remember James specifically saying he's brilliant. Like, as a game planner, he's brilliant. As a play caller, he's brilliant. Like, he didn't get enough credit for how good he was.
Yep.
I think in part because he played quarterback at Notre Dame, and it was like, well, you play quarterback for there, you're under Brian Kelly, come on in.
Sure.
But he's like, I'm telling you, like, he's legit as a play caller in that. So, again, nothing official. That's the best I can do.
He's only like 31, right?
Young kid. Yeah, I mean, he was not that long ago. He played at Notre Dame. So
right.
A young kid, but was trusted with the offense at Notre Dame, and then last year was trusted with the offense by Nick Saban. So he was a real up-and-comer in the college football world. And even when the Alabama job when it first came that Saban was going to step down from Alabama, there was some talk. It was not much, but there was like, well, would they even consider keeping Tommy as like the head coach? They didn't. They went and got Kalen DeBoer, which is the right call, I think. But that there was even some of that. So the idea that if this is indeed the way that this shakes out, that you could get him to come and coach tight ends in the NFL would be a big hit. It's a bright offensive mind.
Yeah, and then we're talking to Gerard Johnson from the Houston Texans, who's a quarterback coach, reportedly, and that is reportedly another bright young mind. So I think clearly, if you look at these reported moves, because we have not even confirmed the departures, but
correct,
nonetheless, you would say
the departures are confirming the departures.
Yeah,
Stump he's on a tour.
So has AVP.
Yeah.
The focus is going to be on kind of getting this passing game as a full complement to what Kevin's so good at in terms of his wide zone, boots, the play action, hard play action game, and then having more of, I think, of a shotgun-based offense, and then you can have everything. So I think this is a lot of trying to get guys in here who excel at concepts and can help Kevin with concepts that maybe are better suited to what, say, Deshaun Watson is traditionally used to doing as opposed to what he's doing here. Not to say that it wasn't start clicking, because it did start clicking. So it just, I think it gives you every tool in the offensive toolbox, which is what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what you want. Now, another one, this one reportedly, the Titans are reportedly hiring Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan as their new head coach. And, of course, Brian is Bill's son, and we know Bill quite well and are quite fond of him. What does it mean for his future here? We don't. Have you ever asked Bill about Brian? I'm trying to think if we have. We used to have Bill in here quite a bit, and then we haven't had him in here in a while to the point where like Brian's career has taken off.
It's not something that
so we don't come up. It doesn't come
No.
up. Has it ever with you?
Well, we talked to him, I think, and he didn't really want to talk about because his son's been the OC of the Bengals, so
Yeah.
we played them a couple times a year. I don't think it was something that he really got into that much. I know he's proud of them.
Sure. Years ago, like Bill would come in here with us, like in the off season, we'd talk with him.
Yeah.
And we haven't done that in a while. But his, you have no idea. The idea to work for your son in the NFL would feel like a bucket list. My God, is this really possibly happening situation? And I would think that if Brian would want his dad, who's one of the 3 best offensive line coaches in the history of the game, he'd get him. Like that feels like that's how that will go. This is me.
Yes.
This isn't reports. It's nothing. It's just common sense.
Right. I mean, I feel like it sounds like, a dream come true situation, right? So maybe he likes it so much here that he would not, but it would seem like if your son says, "Hey, Dad, I want you to come
Will you
coach
help me,
with
Dad?
Yeah. Yes, I will.
Give me a hand, Dad. Can you give me a hand?
Yeah.
Be a first-time head coach. Can you help me? I'd like your help. Yes, son.
And he adds so much credibility immediately to what's going on there. And then you wonder, what does that mean for Scott Peters? What does that mean? For a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a billion balls in the air in the moment.
All of a sudden, we've had
would O'Shea be the only one still here, reportedly?
If Callahan were to leave?
Yeah,
reportedly. On the offensive side, yeah.
So reportedly.
But reportedly, Callahan is not.
Not
left.
yet. No. That's conjecture. The other 3 are reportedly.
Yes.
That's connecting dots on Callahan, and
Sure.
then O'Shea would be the only one reportedly. Well, no, that it wouldn't be. That would just be
O'Shea
the
would
last
be the only
man
one to be
standing.
here. Right.
From who
Returning
has
from
been
the
there.
offensive staff.
Yeah, for now. Would you rather work for Pedro as an associate dean of his school, or have him work for you as like Uno?
Him as Uno. Not even a question. Is there a question for you?
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I explain to my dad, like, oh my God, I can't imagine being around him that much. But I can't imagine like trying to explain, like, it.
You would go work for your dad?
No, I could have. I didn't. No, thanks. No thanks. Zero chance.
Yeah.
But I do think like it would not be a whole lot of fun having him in the mix either.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm saying it also.
Yeah.
I would rather have him.
What
in
would be the
that
biggest
mix rather than me
you
being
under his yoke?
Yeah.
Then you're back under the yoke.
Right. Don't
What
want
would be the biggest roadblock if he were Uno? If Pedro were Uno? The first disagreement would happen because of what?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel like it would be all that dissimilar from Gibbe. Like, he tries to stifle my joy. He irrationally
You
blames
kinda
me
ready-
for things. It's like
You're ready
I'm
for it.
like, how much
true.
different could it be, other than that they would probably become some type of a formidable alliance against me? But I mean, I'm already dealing with like
You got yokes all around
I'm
you.
dealing with Pedro Light already.
You're right. You are completely prepared.
Yeah.
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 Irrational things left and
Just-
right. Blame for things that have nothing to
Yeah.
do with you. Making your life harder when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
We're already dealing
The
with
ability to also get caught in situations
that.
for
Yeah, Cliff Clavin.
Yeah, right. Like Gibbe and the
That's all those things. Uno loves it. Yeah. All those things are real.
Yeah, I mean, honestly would not. I don't know how much different it would be.
Yeah, that's it. Otherwise, it would largely be the same.
Yeah, that's what I think.
We had a major media rights deal this morning announced. WWE and Raw, the Raw brand, part of that. You know that this world better than me, so you can explain
Basically-
it. But a new deal with Netflix starting in 2025. It will give Netflix the rights to Raw in the United States and then other WWE entities around the globe. It's a big deal. It is Netflix's first foray into live sports.
Yeah, and so you wonder. The Rock, it was ringing the bell
Yeah.
at the stock exchange. So exclusive rights in U.S., Canada, UK, Latin America. It'll also be the home for all WWE shows and specials outside of the U.S., including SmackDown, NXT, as well as WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and the Royal Rumble. So the 3 big pay-per-views and then the other TV shows. So I'm guessing Fox keeps SmackDown in the U.S.
Seems like it.
And then my question is, what happens to Peacock? Because right now Peacock is the app that you need to watch all of their whole library, all
Yeah.
the live events. So my guess is Peacock would stay there, and Raw, instead of being on a Universal property, goes to, or an NBC Universal property, would go to Netflix.
But then do they also get the catalog? How long
That's
was
what
the
I don't
agreement
know.
they said on the
That's
catalog?
what I don't know. Yeah, those are the details that are not in our notes here, but also that we need to find out. But it feels like it's a big deal. WWE library.
Well, the other part of this is, we're heading like a rocket ship towards streaming for all of this stuff. It's coming quickly. We've now been through 2 seasons of Amazon Prime, Thursday Night Football. We had a Peacock playoff game this year. Now this is Raw, which you and I are old enough to remember Raw propping up USA. Like that propped up. That was the bell
Totally.
cow of USA, the network.
Totally.
Right? Like that, they launched their big show. Any show they would try to launch, they'd launch it after Raw. Like that was the whole operation. So this is Netflix getting into the live sports world, and it certainly would be a harbinger of things to come in terms of live sports in general. That all of that is coming.
No, and you're seeing it, as you mentioned, obviously, with the NFL. So it says that this marks a major programming shift. Raw leaves linear television for the first time since its inception 31 years ago, so that Raw will be on Netflix, U.S., Canada, UK, Latin America, additional countries to be added over time. As part of the agreement, Netflix will also become the home for all WWE shows and specials outside of the U.S., inclusive of Raw and WWE's other weekly shows, SmackDown and NXT, as well as the company's premium live events, including WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble. WWE's award-winning documentaries, original series, and forthcoming projects will also be available on Netflix internationally beginning in 2025. So that sounds to me like it's all that stuff stays on Peacock.
So you're going to pull from a
Domestically,
lot of different streams.
if you're international, if you're domestic, Raw is going to be on Netflix starting in 2025. Everything else is going to be on Peacock or over-the-air Fox, whatever. And that internationally, everything's going to be on Netflix.
Yeah. The reality of this is when we first started getting, whether it was Netflix or Amazon Prime's different because you're paying for, that was like a throw-in for signing up for Prime. But Amazon Prime, Netflix, all of these things, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, all of them that are in the live sports game. You pay for, it's a double dip, right? Because you pay for the app, and now they're going to still show commercials.
Yep.
You're like, wait a second. The whole point of this, like, you and I grew up in an era where, like, all right, I'll pay the premium for HBO, and then the part of that premium is I'm watching commercial free. Yep. And so now all of these are going to have the subscriber fee plus the advertising fee. We already see this in Amazon Prime. We saw it in the Peacock game where they had regular advertising like you would for a normal NFL game. And the problem is for the consumer is you can't do what I did last night on Skyfall. You can't pop out into something else. You're stuck in it.
Yeah.
And that's the reality.
I'm more
of where we're
okay
headed.
with that than you are. But yes, you're right. How about this? It's a $5 billion deal, $500 million a year per 10 years. They have an opt-out after 5 years as Netflix, and to extend for an additional 10 years. Sources say WWE's current 5-year deal with U.S. rights for Raw with NBC Universal was worth about $250 a year, so they doubled that.
Well, they'd have to because they're going to take – it's a risk from their standpoint of viability.
Yep.
Like, is your audience going to follow you there?
Yep.
So you had to. That's why when the NFL redid their television deal and even the college football ones that I pay so close attention to, I was surprised that they didn't let the streamers take a bite at the apple, a bigger bite.
Yeah.
The NFL did with Prime, but I was surprised they didn't get into business and have a conversation with Apple TV, that they didn't have a business with YouTube, they didn't have a conversation with Facebook, like the big entities that have all the money in the world, because and you would have doubled. The NFL, though, is old guard. Like these are mostly people who have been around a long time, and they still understand and appreciate network. And the ratings are still bigger on network. 50 million people watched the Chiefs and the Bills on Sunday. The number is the biggest, most watched divisional game ever.
Ever.
Wow. So there's still value in that. So in order for you to go from 250 to go off of a place where most of your audience can get you wherever you want it to one that you're going to have to pay for, there's got to be a premium on that, and there was. In this case, it was double.
So Peacock paid $110 million to the NFL to air the one playoff game, and it was the most watched streamed live event in American history.
Of course.
So
well, up until that point, most watched live stream event was college football or college basketball.
Yep.
So until that happened, that's what it was. So now you get the NFL in the mix, and there you go. But this is where you're headed. You're headed to all of this stuff is going to be in a streamer, and that's the world you're going to live in. The crazy thing is they're basically just reverse engineering cable.
Right.
Because eventually, whether it's Amazon or Apple or whoever, you're going to go into one app, and it's going to tell you all the things that are available on all of the apps.
Well,
that's where you're at. YouTube TV already does that to a certain extent,
yeah.
and like one of my smart TVs already kind of organizes it.
Yeah, organizes. You
see
just
like
search,
the
and then it'll
pictures
tell you where you can get it.
So all that's already happening.
Yeah.
They're basically just reverse engineering cable. Is what's happened.
I like it. I like the apps. I like the fact that on Saturday night, Andrea was over at Easy E's, and I had to go pick her up at 10:30. Well, that was right.
Did you call him Easy E to his face?
Yeah.
God bless you. NBC was dating a girl whose name began with an E, and I tried calling her Easy E. He was not having it.
Oh no, yeah, Easy. Well,
come on.
He
goes, you know who Easy E is? I said, yeah, I'm aware of who Easy E is.
Yeah. It's a good name. Anyway.
It's a good name.
So I had to go down there. Then Saturday night was prime fourth quarter of the 49ers Packers.
Yeah.
In the old days, once you left your TV, you're out of luck. In the new days, I had it right there, watched it, plugged through the Bluetooth.
With the phone. The phone allows for it. Yeah,
I was able to bring the game with me because of the apps. Because I was like YouTube TV. Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
We do that a lot on the way to hoops. Like they'll stream like a Kansas Kentucky game on the way to basketball.
Yeah,
in the car on the way there.
Live sports.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's great.
Yeah, that part's pretty good.
I'm not sad about it.
Yeah. So that's where you're headed. There you go, kids. Those are your Hot Topics today, presented by Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. We hit one thought on the divisional round coming up next. A little higher, lower as well. The Joe Thomas half hour of the program. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And Bo here for my friends at Jim Beam. What do sports and Jim Beam have in common? Both are better when enjoyed with others. So grab a bottle, gather your friends, enjoy the game, because with Jim Beam, you come as fans, you leave as family. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2024, James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. Time for one thought on the divisional round. Uno, you ready for this?
I think we have time to do a couple thoughts, by the way.
Honestly, you have 50 minutes of thoughts.
We used to do one thought on 16 games. I think we could do
multiple thoughts. Well, we don't follow the rules anyway.
Right. No.
So, yeah, it's fine.
Especially now when Gibbe's not here.
Yeah. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Go for it.
All right, we start in Baltimore. The Ravens took down the Houston Texans 34-10 in the first game of the weekend. Start with you, Bo.
Yeah, this was the easiest one for me to project. This felt pretty simple. It was pretty simple. I understood why everyone would. It just was too easy.
Why it was the lock of the.
It's why it was the lock of the week. It was the lead pipe lock of the week. That the Houston Texans, riding high off of our victory, the victory they had against us, and everyone was going to fall in love with CJ. And then the reality is that Baltimore. You remember all that stuff? Oh, Baltimore's missed 3 games. CJ's really hot, and it's like, okay, it's fine.
Right.
And Baltimore was fine. Now it's 10-10 at half. Now they get a punt return, or they get a kick return. They got a return touchdown.
It was a punt.
Punt return touchdown for Houston, so that helps with the 10-10. And then Baltimore turned it on, and by all reports, Lamar gave an impassioned speech, and that fired him up, and then they annihilated in the second half. This was the least surprising result. It was the least surprising score. It was exactly how I thought it would go.
All right. First of all, Sweet Miss K, we're having like a little bit of work done on the home right now.
All right. Yep.
By the great handyman, JTV.
Oh, he's in the mix.
Yeah, he's back in the mix.
Yeah.
And like in our laundry room, which we're kind of not redoing, but we're just making it nicer and putting little benches and little cubbies, whatever.
Everybody loves a cubby.
There's a light over it that's like one of those old school long rectangle
Like fluorescent. Yep.
She calls it a ghost light. She hates it.
Okay.
Detests it.
All right.
So she just texted me, which is why I read it. She was just like, they can go out and get this. Do you like this light? And I'm like, whatever makes you. I don't care.
I don't care. I don't know how I can explain this more
at
to you.
all. Like,
and then sometimes you say, well, why don't you care? It's not whatever makes you happy.
that's
You're happy, I'm happy. It doesn't matter to me. I don't ever think about lights.
Sure, love. Anything that makes you happy, I don't care at all.
Same. And it's not that I'm not indifferent to something that's important to you. It's whatever makes you happy makes me happy.
That's right.
Yeah, same.
It is interesting though. Like if there were scenarios that were the opposite, where she's like, I don't care, just do whatever makes you happy. I would never push back.
Boulevard of green lights, baby.
I would never push back.
No.
Like, oh, what do you mean you don't care?
What do you mean you don't care?
Great.
Fantastic.
Great. I'll take that pass and I'll run with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. But where were we? Yes.
Baltimore.
Ravens.
Baltimore.
I don't think you can overstate, especially in the playoffs, 2 things. One, how important home field advantage is. Yeah. It is massive. I'm not saying the Texans win if this game is played in Houston, but it's a different game.
Well, I'll tell you this. They don't beat us the way they did if it was here.
They lose to us.
Yeah. So
pretty definitively, I'd say.
Yeah.
And they beat us pretty definitively
did.
Ultimately. Yep. So that's number 1. Number 2, I think that what I just said holds even more weight when you're talking about a dome team traveling to the outside in weather or cold weather. Mm-hmm. I don't think for Detroit going to San Francisco per se, that weather shouldn't be a factor in that game. I don't think that bothers them as much. But this, from a Houston to this, what you had the weather on the East Coast and in Baltimore, it made a big difference. And this was a team that could not – they didn't have it going. Third thing, I felt like watching it, Baltimore's entire game plan as a defense was to make life very difficult for Nico Collins.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that had a very positive ripple effect on the rest of their ability to play defense in this game.
That one weapon.
We didn't do that.
We did not do that, no.
And I think if we had one do-over, I think that would have to be near the top of the list of the do-over, at least on the defensive side of the football.
And we would have thought going into that game that we talked about the way we handled Garrett Wilson, like Hickman over the top all the time, guy underneath, like that, bracketed, all of those things. It just didn't play out that way.
No, and they didn't give up the big play. What's interesting is the Ravens did not sack C.J. Stroud either. We didn't sack him. They didn't sack him. They hit him a few times. They limited his effectiveness, but they did not sack him. The other thing is Lamar Jackson is playing like a complete MVP. I mean, he's doing it all. 16 to 22, 152, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He looks great. Their defense is good. It is amazing watching our boy Jadeveon Clowney when he's engaged and feels appreciated and is happy. He can play as well as anybody.
Yep.
Not like upper echelon passers, but I mean, he can be a
disruptive force,
stud on a very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that 2 years ago with us,
and
then now this year you're seeing it with him and the Baltimore Ravens.
They ran it with Lamar the first play, and I think they set the tone. They're like, buckle in, boys. This is what you're getting.
Well, didn't the Texans take the ball and go 3 and out immediately?
That's
right. And then the Ravens came back and did that.
The very first play was a run, and it was like, okay, this is what you signed up for. Welcome to Baltimore, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, they ran for 229 yards.
Yeah.
Only Dalvin.
And that was you and I talked about that in the lead up. Like we could not run it on him.
No.
We don't have Nick Chubb. We don't have Joe for all the things we love about him. He wasn't someone who's going to go run it for 70 yards.
No, and he didn't put the threat of
there's no threat
an
of
11-man rushing attack.
No.
All right. Go to San Francisco and the NFC. The 49ers take down the young and up-and-coming Green Bay Packers 24-21. Z.
Brock Purdy was not good in this game, and yet he finished with a flourish that he needed to. Some big-time throws, finishes with 23-39, 252, a touchdown, rating of 86.7. Kittle made the big plays. Not a lot of Brandon Ayuk, but the guy that stepped up, and I think you go back and you're going to ultimately say deserves, a major bit of credit, Juwan Jennings, who filled in for Debo. He made that huge catch over the middle, up in between three guys on the last drive. He had a big, big game. They're going to need Debo back. They're going to need to get Ayuk involved more.
On that with Debo?
50-50. 50-50. They're going to need to get, though, they need more of Ayuk, I think, against the Detroit Lions.
To me, it's the tale of two quarterbacks. For the majority of this game, Love was great.
Yep.
He was great, sensational. You watch him, you go, God, all of this makes sense. They're going to go from Favre to Rodgers to this dude. And as far as LaFleur took him this year, and Love, quite frankly, took himself, it's unbelievable. There were times earlier this season we looked incompetent.
Yes.
And it was like, I don't know is this the biggest mistake in the history of sports that they pushed Rodgers out? But then everybody got on the same page and they got right. Conversely, most of the game from the Purdy perspective was blasphemy that Pedro's calling him Montana.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's, all he can do is check down. He missing guys left and right by wide margins. It was like, at one point, he took that crazy one. He took the snap and dried his hands, and he put his hand back on. That was crazy. I've never seen anybody do that.
No.
So, and yet, it all flipped on the last drive for each. Purdy was sensational in the last drive, and Love makes, honestly, and I think you're right in bringing this up when we talked about it yesterday, it's the type of play that can haunt you.
Yes.
And it's the type of play that can make you question your ability to play the position, because it's just stupefying to just throw the ball into the middle of the field as you're going down. They only had to go 25 yards to be in field goal range.
Yep.
That's it. And he just threw it to the middle of the field. It was crazy. And that'll hang over you, man. Like, that is a total brain fart of a play.
Completely.
That you just can't.
3 guys could have picked it.
It was could have fair caught it. I mean, it was. So, and then I did think maybe Greenlaw had some money on the game because it felt like he was trying to go score.
So maybe he was trying to do that for the 49ers
little cover.
faithful.
Yeah, who had the cover city.
Yeah.
Little 9.5.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get it there because he was not going down. And everyone's screaming at him, get down, get down, get down. Nah, I'm going to keep running.
Get down.
And then basically, like, it was at one point, it's like, is somebody on his own team going to tackle him?
By the way, has anybody fallen off the face of the earth more than Christian Watson?
Well, remember, though, last year, the start of the season, he was nothing. And then he came on the second half. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. You draft a guy out of North Dakota State. You just don't know how that transition's going to go, man.
He looked like he had a chance to be
right, but you have
pretty solid.
He was good at the end of last year, but that's just a tough circumstance. There's not a lot of track record for that.
Second round pick, his rookie year, 66, 6'11", and 7 touchdowns. This year, 53, 422, 5 touchdowns. Still averaged 15 yards a catch.
Do you want a fun fact about Christian Watson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Never had a 1,000-yard season in high school, college, or the pros. Ever.
The high school part of that's stunning. The college part isn't because they run option. So the college part of that makes some sense. It's kind of like a Calvin Johnson situation.
The most he's ever had, I believe, is 802 yards.
Wow.
Yeah. That's weird you didn't have it in high school. If he played receiver in high school, he didn't have a 1,000-yard season. For sure. Yeah. Good job out of you, buddy. Good job, Nick. But yeah, that's what he's saying. Tale of two quarterbacks for me.
All right, we go to the Motor City. The Lions beat the Buccaneers 31-23. We had timeout controversies. We had big throws from the quarterbacks. Bishop.
Well, at least Dan Campbell admitted that he blew it. Like, he did say that post-game. Like, on the clock, that's on me. Like, we should have snapped it with 1 second. I mean, it's just, I don't know if they
everybody was caught up that the game was
in
over.
In the moment, they thought it was over, but the whole thing was ridiculous that,
Yes.
that it played out the way that it played out. It was surreal watching it because for such a woebegone franchise and such a dismal franchise, the Detroit Lions have been omnipresent in our life because of the Thanksgiving thing.
Yep.
And so we've seen they've ruined so many Thanksgivings with their incompetence. And the fact that that operation got it right with some people we know, like John Dorsey, and I know Chris
Sure.
Spielman really well, that these guys got this thing right, that they got not one but 2 home playoff wins.
Wins.
They got to celebrate it. And the moment of Aiden Hutchinson looking around the stadium. So he's born in he grew up in Dearborn, goes to the University of Michigan, goes to Detroit, and it's all he knows is Lions in Detroit. It's his homeland. Can you imagine?
And he's the one who
And he's the one who
helped them.
and he was a stud. And he
Yeah.
can you imagine if there was a defensive end from Cleveland who went to Ohio State and was a stud there and then came here and was the best player on a defense that was pretty good and got to be on the field for 2 AFC playoff games, what that would be like. And I couldn't help but think
It's kind of like LeBron.
yeah, minus the Ohio State connection part of
Sure.
it and all that. Yeah, but yeah, but it was just I kept watching. I was so happy for the city. I don't have any connection to Detroit at all. Nothing. I've been there once in my life.
Miss
But
Kay's families.
oh, there you go.
They're Michigan people.
Yeah, so there you go. So now I have some connection to there. But they're just easy to root for, and I couldn't help but thinking what it will be like here when that happens here, to host 2
Yes.
straight playoff games and win them. I mean, that's crazy.
So, Andrew Berry led off his press conference talking about it.
Yeah.
Being that was such a special thing. They're good. Goff is good. He's a good quarterback, and I'm happy for him. I liked him. I thought he was so clearly the number 1 pick, and I wanted the Browns to get him so bad that year out of Cal, and I don't know how it would have worked out here per se.
Hard to say, yeah.
But he has certainly proven himself to be worthy. He's taken 1 team to a Super Bowl. He's going to take now a second team to an NFC championship at the very least.
Yeah.
Gibbs and Montgomery are a great combo. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a stud. Jamison Williams, he's a one guy that you just never have gotten what you thought.
Imagine if he was what they thought.
Oh, man. And then Laporte is a beast. Yeah, they're good. They're a fun team. Their defense is fun. I do wonder and look at it, the kid they drafted in the first round, the linebacker, he doesn't really play that much.
Kid from Iowa.
Jack Campbell, because they're playing Angelo, and that's the one maybe you wonder if they could have gotten something else there. But listen, they did a good job, good team, fun to watch. And on the Tampa side of it, Mike Evans is one of the best receivers to ever play the game. Is he going to be in the top 10 as an individual? Maybe not, but when you think about what he has accomplished every single year, it's incredible.
Yes.
And by the way, you would never throw a 6'5" guy that can run. That guy could play on.
I just think it's because
I
think it's because it's where he played. So because he played in Tampa, it's not a big place where people are paying attention to that team. He had the Brady time when you're oh, Mike Evans. But really his best stuff was under Winston because Winston just chucked.
If he played for, let's say, the Cowboys, he would be considered, I think, one of the most elite receivers to ever play the game.
Or here, or Pittsburgh, or Philly, or it's just there are some sleepy markets, and Tampa's kind of a sleepy market. And so, he's had this career that I don't know if people noticed. It's 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty remarkable. We do have it looks like a little bit of breaking news. The Vikings have signed quarterback A.J. Green, our guy, to a reserve future free agent contract.
Oh.
The
Kwesi?
Vikings putting that out. Yeah, Kwesi would know him well.
Yeah.
He did put out a tweet. He's thankful for the last 4 years in Cleveland. I appreciate the fans, front office coaches, and players I established a relationship with over the years.
There you go.
I'm glad he survived the golf outing.
I don't know if he'll ever know.
He didn't know.
He had no
But
idea.
if that ball was 6 inches higher, we had a real problem. If it was a foot higher, made that 18 inches up to his face, we have a real problem.
I can't even imagine the damage. It was a screaming eagle.
It dented the
That's right.
metal on
That's
the
right.
frame of that bed,
on the front of
cart.
on the cart, yeah.
He was just sitting on it.
Yeah, it was a rocket launched.
Rocket. Fortunately, he's all right.
Yeah. You tee that sucker off in St. Andrews, it'd roll 325 yards.
It might still be rolling.
Yeah.
Mike Evans, to your point, 10,000-yard seasons, 5 with at least 12 touchdowns as well, 7 with at least 8 touchdowns, and he's averaged 15.3 yards for his career. In fact, he's averaged over 15 yards per catch in all but 3 seasons.
Yeah, he's first ballot gold jacket.
He's got to be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, never a first-team All-Pro, a 2-time second-team All-Pro.
That's crazy. That's just because they didn't have success.
And he's just
They didn't have the team success.
so
either,
good
you know?
and consistent.
Yeah, he's a stud. Total stud. He's a free agent.
Yes,
He's a free agent for them.
Tampa Bay has a lot of free agents to worry about. I think Schefter tweeted out a list after their game, and it's quite a large list, so they'll have some work
That's why
to do
they were
in
in
the
such a
offseason.
weird spot, because it was kind of like a now or never, but then they didn't put themselves in that kind of a position, and then they had to go ahead and now make tough decisions. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Same.
Wrapping it up on the weekend was in snowy Buffalo. The Chiefs, behind Taylor Swift and Jason Kelsey, and a whole heck of a lot of fun in that suite, take down the Bills 27-24. Z.
You know, I think we all just were like, oh, Kansas City's done, and I think they took that personal. I don't know if you saw Mahomes in the locker
I took
room.
that personally.
Yeah, they took that personally. They looked there laughing at their iPads.
Yeah.
Mahomes in the locker room's like, this is what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they look what they got.
Yeah.
I mean, 17 of 23,
I do love-
215 yards.
That's a very Jordan situation, like acting like people doubt you.
yeah.
You're Patrick Mahomes, dude.
People were doubting them. They were the underdogs in the game.
Right.
Everybody thought the Bills were going to beat them.
Even in picking it, I felt dirty picking against him.
For sure.
And
but
said as much. But you thought at some point Buffalo's got to get him. At some point. Like they lost at home to the Raiders in a really big spot for Kansas City when they lost in December to the Raiders. That's a garbage game.
On
And-
Christmas Day on national TV.
Right. It's like, come on, man. But no, I'm never going against him again. I'm never going to bet against him again. I'm never going to be somebody who picks against him again. Like if he's involved, I'm in. And he was good enough though. And I'll tell you what. Stephon Diggs, shameful. You complain about the way you're used. You are in the biggest game Buffalo's had at their place in a long, long time. You have 2 chances that would have impacted the game tremendously, and neither one you don't take advantage of. And honestly, the best thing that happened to him is that Bass kid missing the field goal, because then it goes to him as opposed to the
Sure.
blame on Diggs.
Sure.
All of that being said,
I got to give you a stat.
Go.
In the last 10 Buffalo Bills games,
Yep.
receiving yards, Khalil Shakir, 462.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs, 422.
He's cooked.
Targets.
Oh, boy.
Khalil Shakir did that on 37 targets.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs did that on 80 targets.
Oh, my gosh.
That's 5 yards a target, brother.
Yeah,
Not
they
good.
need to, so they can move off of him, right?
They have to at this point. They
Yeah.
got to be able to.
But they have cap problems too.
It feels to me, and with Josh Allen, I don't think you can ever really count him out, but it feels like
This was
this was the closing.
So
of
2
their
years
window.
ago, they were the favorite to win the Super Bowl. This year, and then this year, like the last, they've had this window, and they did not take advantage of it. What I was going to say is, there is no question that in my mind, even if Bass, and I don't know if I think you and I maybe even discussed this. As soon as it kicked off, I'm like, I blew this.
Oh yeah,
can't say
I
this
said
over.
before the game
What are we doing?
when they did that corny thing where they had
I'm going like this.
where they had Nance and Roma walking into Arrowhead to
Obviously, like 6 months ago.
Yes.
mind you,
yeah, in case this
because it was nice.
What a special game. And Roma's like, oh yeah, it was really-
remember this, Jim? When
This is a game you want to call, Jim.
Reenactments are so good. What are we doing?
I saw that. I'm like, Chiefs are winning this game.
That's it.
This is too bad.
It's too bad. Even if Bass makes the field goal, Mahomes would have driven and gotten a touchdown or a field goal. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Zero doubt. So that's the way it shook out. All right, job. Good job with you, Uno.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. All right, we've got higher, lower still to come. We've got the Joe Thomas half hour of the program. You have that to look forward to. Coming up next, we will go around the league. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster. Official waitlist of your Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM, the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/NextGenSTM to reserve your spot today. There is some little bit of breaking news in the league. It appears, I don't know that anyone's surprised this, but Harbaugh looks like it's going to be with the Chargers.
That's what we thought all along.
We've been saying that all along. He is, in a way, he did. Now, Michigan make him take a half pay cut, but he's doing him pretty dirty here on that side of it. Because, so here's how this is going to work. From the Michigan side of it, as soon as he takes the job, a 30-day window opens where anybody on the Michigan roster can transfer. So that would lead you into the brink of spring football, and they could have what's just recently happened to Alabama, where you could have 20 kids leave the roster, and a roster that you cannot replenish until the transfer window opens in April.
By the way, just a question.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, Ohio State, I know there are people who wanted to run day out of town.
Yeah.
This, to me, this whole portal thing and what happens after it makes it almost, if your program's strong, which the Buckeyes program is strong, and like he's decent, and you're not going to go who without a home run replacement, why would you expose your program? Because now Ohio State's already pilfered Alabama.
Totally.
There's a good chance that they might get some people from Michigan, I would think.
Yeah, whoever they would want. They will definitely make calls and press. Yeah.
So it's when your coach leaves, and in Michigan and Alabama, because there's nothing they can do about it. This is a retirement and a guy going to the NFL. But it has to – I mean, it feels to me Harbaugh leaving is going to be – and I know that the kid vehemently disagrees with me, but to me it feels like that's going to be the end of their run as an elite program.
For the immediate future, 100% it is, because there's no way – they were losing everybody anyway, so now they're going to have an entirely new staff, and now that roster can be absolutely pillaged. So that's going to happen as well. What's going on with him?
Who knows?
Always keep your head on a swivel, kid.
Always.
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, what Ohio State, as an aside, what Ohio State has done with name, image, and likeness in the portal in the last month, they've never behaved like this as a football program, ever. We've never seen anything like this. They're
buying a championship on some level.
They've never done that.
Right, but I'm saying
they're finally behaving the way that a lot of the rest of the sports. They got organized on NIL. They got their ducks in a row on that, and they bought the best players in football. Full stop. I saw Buckeye fans like upset because Lane Kiffin said, "Oh, they cost them $13 million for the roster," and it was actually a quote from 2 years ago from Ryan Day. But regardless of that, they were all upset about it. I'm like, so that's the sport now.
You're not gonna be upset.
What
when
do you care?
Winning a national title.
What do you care? That's the sport now.
That's
how the sport is.
It ups the pressure on men. Like to me, it feels like they are a national title, or
if they don't win the national championship at this rate, it's the best roster in college football by a pretty decent margin now.
Yeah.
So they have 5 quarterbacks. They had 2 5-star quarterbacks. It's crazy what they've done. Now Harbaugh to the Chargers. You like that for Herbert?
I do like that for Herbert. He's smart. I mean, Herbert will likely be there longer than Harbaugh because he's probably got like a 4 or 5 year shelf life. But yeah, I think that will be very good.
There will be an accountability that they didn't have under Staley.
Correct.
There will be a team building that they didn't have under Staley. He's won everywhere he's gone.
Yep.
So he was great with the 49ers the last time there. So it makes all the sense in the world. And he's got history with the organization as well. The Eagles and offensive coordinator Brian Johnson parting ways. Second year in a row, the Eagles will bring in 2 new coordinators. I know there was a presser today in Philly with Howie Roseman and Sirianni. And the way that I view this is Roseman, who's the most powerful person in that organization, short of ownership, saying, you got one more chance to hire people. Don't blow it.
I'm surprised they gave him that one more chance.
He was in the Super Bowl a year ago. They were 10-1.
Yeah, but
it ended bad.
A 1-6.
It did. It ended poorly, but I think that there's still – my guess is that they were like, you're going to have one more chance to hire some coordinators. And that's probably where that stands there.
By the way, DeJuan Jones, a little around the NFL, DeJuan Jones was voted to the NFL All-Rookie team by the Pro Football Writers Association.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
It should be.
As agreed.
The Panthers are hiring Dan Morgan as their new general manager. Morgan has been the assistant general manager there since 2021. He was a Pro Bowler with the Panthers in 2004. Isn't Luke Kuechly in that building too?
He does.
Speaking of former linebackers.
I think he does broadcast. He's a broadcast for him.
Kuechly is?
Yeah.
Huh. There you go. So we're going to be the new
He's a
general
nice
manager.
guy.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
He was a scout with them in
Kuechly?
2020 and 2021, but he's not with them as an executive anymore.
Okay. As of now, the Niners uncertain if they will have Deebo Samuel for the NFC Championship game. You said that was a 50-50 proposition on that, is
Yep.
the way that was being told.
Also, about from an hour ago, Mary Kay reporting that I don't even know how to read this. Well, here's what Tom Pelissero said. Nope, can't read his either.
Can I read
I'm
it?
going to add a word to it.
Okay.
Reported former Browns offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt will interview for the Raiders offensive coordinator job this week, per source.
Joe Thomas up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The Rolling Stones Hackney Diamond Tour, Saturday, June 15th, Cleveland Browns Stadium. Tickets on sale now. Visit clevelandbrownsstadium.com/Rolling Stones for more information. And now, I mean, we have the Hoff on all the time. The Joe Tom, and never take it for granted. This is as excited as I've ever been to have the Hoff on.
Oh, man.
Based on his Instagram.
Oh, man.
The life that's being lived over there across the pond.
It's outrageous.
The number one question I have, you put a picture up of an ibex. First of all, I didn't know that you could hunt them in Europe. That blew my mind. For some reason in my head, buddy, I thought they were like in Asia. I didn't even know that was possible, but apparently you did this. I have to know, you have to give me the scope on the horns or antlers, whatever it is called on the ibex, because it looked like it was like 12 feet across.
What's up, guys? Hey, coming at you right now from Holzkirchen, Germany. We're just running a little offensive line workout here at like the local Gold's Gym, bobbing and weaving in and out of a bunch of other meatheads in Germany. But I'm in my glory. It's been pure chaos every single day, total adventure, trying to navigate a German-speaking world when I don't say much more than Danke. And that's
well, one
it.
way to avoid it is just to go to Spain.
There you go.
That's right. So what I do, I just went to Spain. Yes, not a lot of hunting opportunities in German, so I said, screw it. It's a 1-hour flight to Barcelona. Let's go there and let's go chase some ibex in the mountain. That was an unbelievable trip. We had some crazy weather.
Who'd you go with?
30, 40 mile-an-hour winds. So I had a buddy who did the hunt a year ago and had a great experience. And as soon as I knew I was going to be in Germany, I was like, hey, man, you got to give me the details. And so basically you book kind of like an intermediary guide who's like a local who takes care of all the paperwork for your firearm. It wasn't even like I brought my own gun, but just being able to hold somebody else's gun and hunt with it, you have to go to the embassy and get all this paperwork. Of course, pay your tax, 70 euros. Then they give you a little stamp that says you're allowed to hunt with somebody
That's a lot of your salary there, Hoff.
It is.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Yes. That's like 1 week right there down the drain just to hold somebody's gun. That's not okay. But, hey, we made it happen. There's the Asian ibex. There's the European ibex.
Okay.
I guess they're all over the continent. But there's a bunch of different subspecies depending on what mountain range you're in. And so I actually hunted 2 different ones, the Gritos and the Bassetti. Kind of one was by Madrid and one was by Barcelona. But with the crazy weather, we had like just a couple little windows. And as you saw from the pictures, like we had like clouds and wind and fog and rain. All of a sudden, everything parted and you could finally see the mountain. Because as you know, Bo, like living in Montana, when it's foggy up there, it's not like in the States where you can kind of still see. Like you see nothing. Like we couldn't see anything. And all of a sudden, fog parted. We see this herd way up in the mountains. We just went right after them. Took about a mile to get up there. But thankfully, we were kind of below them. There's all these boulders. We were able to sneak with the wind. Got close. Got lucky. And then the best part is, in Spain, they know how to do it right. Like we got the ibex and the guide who's the local guide. So you hire an intermediary guide. He helps you with the paperwork, takes you there. And then there's like a gamekeeper who's in charge of like that whole, 50,000 acre national park or whatever. And he like manages the wildlife. Then you go with him. As soon as we shot it, he doesn't speak any English, but he was just like, now we celebrate. He pulls out 2 bottles of wine from his backpack and some Iberico pork. It was unbelievable. I was like, hey, I can get down with this.
Give me the size of this thing. I have no scope of it. I have no scale.
So, like, are you sending this? It being sent? Is it in transit back to Wisconsin?
Are you eating it? Like, what's next?
Yeah, so we left to meet with like the locals because there was the guide and then like the other guys. So they took the meat because I can't bring it back to Germany. It's, as you can imagine, like bringing meat across international borders is a little tricky. So we left the meat there and we traded him for some pork belly and some prosciutto, or I guess it's not prosciutto because it's Spanish. I forget the Iberico ham that kind of looks like prosciutto. Yeah, Iberico, delicious.
Yeah.
But I mean, these things are, body-wise, they're maybe 140 pounds, so they're not like massive, but they've got these enormous horns on. I mean, they're like a giant goat, maybe like 4 foot long, each one of them. Jeez. And they're just beautiful because they're heavy like a sheep on the bottom, and then they come to a little bit of a point on the top. But pretty awesome. I mean, these things been living in these mountains for oogles and googles of generations. And to be kind of up there and be like the only person in a 50,000 acre national forest park who gets to hunt at that time with all these locals that are, as soon as you see them, they're getting all excited. They're yelling at each other in Spanish. And at one point I was like, I asked my guide, who was the translator, I'm like, hey, what are they saying? They're all excited. And he goes, they're talking slang so fast. He goes, I don't even know what they're talking about. But man,
They're saying the
it
hop's
was
going to
quite
get
an
us some meat.
experience. That's right. That's right. They knew celebration was around the bend, and
That's
it
right.
was.
That's incredible.
These things are unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like thank you. That gives me perspective because I couldn't tell. The picture made the horns look like they were 10 feet across. It's huge. Go ahead, Z.
I've got one
Yeah,
follow-up.
They kind
Go
of look
ahead.
like a Watusi, but
Oh,
yeah,
there
no,
you go.
sorry. I was going to say, if you've ever seen a Watusi,
Yeah.
like the wild bulls, that's kind of what it looked like from the picture. The guide took the picture, and then I reposted. He did some fancy like wide angle stuff, and so they looked a lot bigger than they really were. And if I had a nickel for every time I said that, but they still are really big, even though it was a little bit of trickeration with the cameras.
All right.
All right. So this is the one that I'm the most curious about. Pack up the fam. New Year's Day. Within 2 weeks, you turn to Annie and say, you're going to be in Germany with our whole family, and I'm going to hunt the ibex in the mountains of Spain. Just talk to me about what did you have a
What was the approach?
what was the approach? Because I feel like it had to be elaborate. It had to be full of gifts and flowers and perhaps spa treatments and whatnot. How did you, or maybe when you're the Hoff, you just say, here's what's happening.
Just sit in your gold
I don't know.
jacket
Yeah,
robe and
maybe.
live.
Yeah,
How
in
do
the
you do
gold
it?
jacket robe. That would be yeah. So how did that go?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, the gold jacket doesn't work inside the four walls of my home. So we could just put that to the side. There was definitely some horse trading that went on.
Okay.
And as you know, like, you got about a month or 2 month window where you're like, all right, I got to find the day where she is at her most happy. Like, whatever happened during the day, certainly it wasn't on my behalf, but like the kids gave her a kiss, said that they loved her or whatever, and then you pounce, right? So you wait for that right moment. And I had it all in my pocket, just like any good football player. He's practiced his plays. He's done his walkthrough. I talked about like
Did you
how
practice
important
in
this
front
was
of the
to
mirror?
me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like this was me going in for my big breakthrough in Hollywood, and I was like, hey babe, when we're in Europe, I've always dreamed of hunting in the mountains, and it would be really awesome if it was possible, if I could go to Spain. I'll do it during the week so the kids are in school and like you won't have as much to worry about. And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, I'll wait. I'll let it sit in. I'll let it sink in for a little bit. And it was the best because her girlfriends then, like a week later, that she always goes on this trip with every year, like they started talking on a little chat group, and I got wind of it that they were going to come over to Austria and go skiing. They were going to do like a 4-day ski weekend. So I was like, bingo, that's my chance. So then you got to wait again, right? You got to bide your time. You got to wait another couple weeks, let it sink in and marinate in her brain. And then when she's happy again, she's getting all excited. Then you pounce again and you say, hey, did you get a chance to finalize any of those plans for Austria? Do you want me to make those flights for you? Like, you really should fly first class. Like, that's a tough trip. Like, do you want me to rent your skis? Is there anything else I can get arranged for you? Like, you guys got to get a nice hotel. Oh, by the way, is it cool? I'm going to go to Spain on January 21st for that week.
3 weeks.
And then she's got nothing she can say about it. Hey, she's in Austria in a couple weeks.
So
Beautiful.
how was your reception upon return? Was it a joyous embrace of people who had been separated by geography, or was it you take care of all these kids for a while?
It was pure misery. Z, it was. I should have stayed in Spain. I made the wrong decision. So,
you almost needed to come back and send her to Austria
That's
like
right.
the day that you got back. Like, I'm back.
oh
you go
yeah,
to Austria.
yeah. I mean, so we didn't even have to see each other the day I got back. So I killed the first ibex on Monday near Madrid in the Gredos Mountains, and then we drove the next morning to Betheti, which is like, I don't know, 5 hours away.
Yeah.
And then we hunted that afternoon, got super lucky, got another ibex, and then Thursday we had like kind of a day at leisure to drive back to Barcelona. So we had like 5 hours. We stopped on the coast. The whole trip I was checking in, FaceTiming with the family, being Mr. Dad, like, I miss you guys so much. All I can do is think about you. Meanwhile, I got the secreto pork shoulder that's marinating under the most delicious Spanish sauce. I'm drinking the Spanish wines with every meal. I gained 15 pounds in 5 days, guys. It's no joke.
What?
And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was an I can't wait. I haven't posted the food yet. I'm gonna just do a stream because I took a picture of all the meals I ate. I'm gonna do one like reel on Instagram of just every meal that I ate.
Man.
And you guys, the guide actually told me, he goes, I've never seen anybody in my life eat like that. And I said, well,
Yeah.
when's the next time I'm gonna be in Spain?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to eat Iberico pork ever again. The secreto, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's like this little cut behind their shoulder, and it was legit amazing. Of course, they sous vide it, and then they
course
put
they
like
did.
this white sauce over the top. It was unbelievable. But anyways, so I was getting fit and happy. Whole week was amazing. She was really happy, so happy to see you. So then the bomb dropped till Friday morning. So we're living in the 4th floor of this little apartment in Munich, which it's a good size apartment. It's got 3 bedrooms, which is bigger than most apartments. But like we're 4 kids that are used to living out in the
Yes.
country. They're
Yeah,
animals.
yeah.
Like they're used to making a lot of noise. And she's walking out the door to take the kids to school Friday morning. Meanwhile, I'm getting home at Friday at 1. She's going to take the kids to school, and the neighbor below us walks up the stairs and stops her in the hallway and says, I've been waiting for 2 weeks and I can't take it any longer. You kids are making so much noise. Mom, you need to get control of your children. And she started bawling in front of this lady. I mean,
See,
it was
Germans.
pretty out of line, but I guess
Germans.
that's how German ladies are. Like one of her friends on the
Direct.
hockey team,
Direct.
they're just direct, just super direct. And that's what she said. Like our friend that plays for the Red Bulls, he was a Badger hockey guy, and they live in Munich. And Annie and his wife Jess have been real good friends for a while. They're actually going to Austria together, so I don't feel bad for it that much. But anyways, so Jess told her, hey, like when I'm in the park and if my kids are like not wearing a sweatshirt and it's cold, like the moms will come up and yell at me like, you don't know how to dress your kids. That's just how they are, right?
Yeah.
But this mom like had the nerve to just stop her, made her late for school, telling her how her kids are out of control. And of course, then I get home like 3 hours later. Hey, honey, how you doing? You know, busting in the door like Kramer, getting ready for my kiss. She wouldn't even look at me.
No,
she
no.
hated me for 24 hours.
Hoff,
But
you
you just got to bide your time again.
got to remember, with the Germans, 2 world wars.
Yes.
It's an aggressive. It's an aggressive people. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Regimented.
Like it's 2 of them. Like they're bold. It's an audacious group.
I just want for all the fellas out there listening. Hops are just like the rest of us.
They're just like all. Yeah, that is. Yes,
right.
yes.
Hops are just
They
like
just have
the
golden
gold-
robes.
He just has a gold jacket.
That's it.
But he still has to. We all have to negotiate.
Hoff, are you looking?
man.
Are you looking in? You got to hunt one of these red deer in Bavaria, right? Look at this thing. See, doesn't he need one of those guys? That thing looks like the thing that's on like the Glenfiddich bottle.
Oh man, yeah, it's a beauty.
Yes. Yeah, so that's the next
Okay,
thing I'm
there we
looking
go.
into.
Let's
So
go.
of course my guy Pablo Carl, who's I don't know how you say his last name in Spanish, but he's from Barcelona. He's like the guy that kind of books everything for you. I told him, I said, hey man, we're gonna have some bye weeks like in September, like end of August. I know that they're gonna be rutting in the mountains. Like I'll
Yep.
give you my time that I can get off. Like let's get together and hunt these red stag because they're like elk, but they roar, and they
They're
kind
cool.
of look like elk. They act like elk, but they sound like dinosaurs when you're in the mountains with them. And so I'm hoping we can get on one of them.
I like it.
When are you coming back?
It's a year, right? It's 1 year, right, Hoff?
No, not a full year. So our season ends Memorial Day, or sorry, it starts Memorial Day, ends Labor Day, and then the playoffs is like 3 weeks, beginning of September. So as soon as we're done, like I'm out, and the kids are going home in August to start school.
Okay.
But yeah, as soon as our
Bachelor
season's
wait
over,
a second.
I'm
Hold
back.
yeah.
on a second.
Bachelor
Hold
Hoff.
on
and
over there.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Hold on a second. Wait a second. What's you're gonna have a month?
Yes, that's true. So I won't be practicing any I'm sorry, honeys, in the mirror before I go and hunt something when nobody's home to yell at me and not kiss me when I get home from my trips to Spain.
Just a boulevard of green lights.
I mean, here's the question though.
It's unbelievable.
Hold on. How do we,
Yeah,
me and you,
yeah.
how do we get to Germany in this period?
We got to get there in like August.
We have to get there in this period.
Well, look, a couple of days in camp, they miss us. No big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah, you miss those things. I mean,
You guys don't do the show on the weekends anyway.
Can you get to Munich from Cleveland for a weekend?
In and out.
Oh yeah,
In and out.
in and out, baby. Hey, I'll have the whole place scouted out. Don't worry, we can go anywhere. We can go to Spain if you guys want. I hear it's pretty
amazing.
nice in August. Go to
great.
Greece. Mykonos.
So with all of this,
Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
with all of this going on, we should do a little. Have you been able to keep track of what's going in the NFL playoffs? Like, what is it like to consume the league
You
over
can't.
there?
It's in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I
true,
would say
middle of
that's
the
the
night.
biggest downer, right? Is like the playoffs is everybody's joy. I mean, even after we got eliminated, like you're still the games are so great and the storylines are amazing. And it's so sad because even the first game doesn't start till 10:30 at night.
Ugh.
And then the next game's like, midnight, 2 a.m. So like with the Browns, I just put my phone on airplane mode and then me and the family woke up early and we watched it at like 7 a.m. on replay. And then that was sad.
Sad.
obviously, but, like,
Say
that's-
sad. You're probably feeling
That was
pretty good
sad.
14-10. And then one play later,
Yeah, yeah.
17-14.
Well,
sad.
yeah. I mean, you should have seen us. It was, I'm sure, like a lot of Browns fans, it was pathetic. But like, we wake up Sunday morning, everyone's excited. Like 5:30 in the morning, nobody can sleep. We're like, we want to know what happened. We want to watch the game. So make coffee. Mom makes breakfast. She's got like avocado toast. She bought some waffles from the local bakery. She's like cooking the waffles. Like I'm sitting down figuring out how to get it on like replay without seeing what the final score was. So our guy Paul Brown from London gave me his login because I couldn't get like my hack Fire
course.
Stick to work. So he gives me his DAZN, DAZN or whatever his login so that I can watch the replay with the family. So I get it all ready. We eat our little breakfast. We're all cozied up on our one couch. There's like 6 of us on this little 3-seater couch. And we're watching the game, feeling great in the first half. Then, of course, we don't have to revisit the second half. But then as soon as it's over, like it's Sunday at 10. It's a beautiful day in Munich. And everybody goes outside in Munich on Sundays because, like, nothing's really open, but everyone just gets out when it's nice. And, like, we were just like a ball of tears in our little apartment. And I was like, we just need to get outside. We need to change the venue. We need to get our minds
right.
off of this. And Jack, of course, is like in tears and he won't leave. Like he was so mad. I physically had to grab him by the arm and we pulled him into the outside of the apartment and I dragged him down the stairs. We went outside and everything was no, I don't want to do anything. No.
Love the
like,
passion.
Hey, do you want to go eat ice cream and cookies? No, I just want to go to the room. And finally by the end of the day we got him around, but like it's been tough not watching the playoffs and just catching up on replays in the morning.
Yeah, there were some good ones. There were some good games. It's setting up to be, I think, a pretty good Final Four here with the Niners and the Lions and the Chiefs and the Ravens. Who do you like in those games? Just kind of off the top of your head when you think of those matchups.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're great matchups. I think you guys, they're always so good, those Final Four. And I'm cheering for the Lions. That my best buddy growing up was always a Lions fan, and he was the pincushion of all of our jokes. And being that the Lions, the Browns, there's some mutual respect and love for a couple fan bases that have been, they've had some tough times, no Super Bowls, and so I'm pulling for the Lions. But obviously, I got a man crush on Kyle Shanahan, so I'd like to see him win his Super Bowl. On the other side, I hope they both lose.
Same. At this point, I want whoever wins the NFC to win it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm obviously Niners, but I'd be thrilled for Goff, thrilled for the Lions, thrilled for the fans of the Lions. They never even played in a Super
But
Bowl.
you would take the Chiefs over the Ravens, right? I can't have the Ravens
Yes.
winning a Super Bowl again. I
Yes,
can't have that.
yes,
No.
that would be.
Like, that's
no.
too much.
No, we can't have Simone.
Well, that's
No,
Yeah,
God, no.
that's-
Simone Chesney?
No.
No, come on.
no,
No.
can't have it. No, but I mean, I think that the Chiefs. I'll speak on behalf of my family. Like, we cheer against them because they're starting to be the Patriots,
Yeah.
But they're a likable Patriots because you like Patrick Mahomes. I like Kelsey. He's a Cleveland guy. I like Andy Reid. Like, there's nothing about the team I don't like other than the fact that they've had a ton of success. But it's an easy one who I'm cheering for between them and the Ravens.
Yeah, agreed. And I think what was cool about that Chiefs game is that going into it, a lot of people really thought the Bills were going to get it done, and Mahomes had never played a road postseason game before, and they went in there and got it done. And even if he'd made that field goal, Bo and I had said we both felt like Mahomes was going to put points on the board. I mean, you just felt he had supreme confidence in him and what he was going to be able to do. I thought it was a really impressive win and one that, if they go this year, and let's, again, it's our third choice out of the 4 teams, but if they go into Buffalo, beat Miami at home, into Buffalo, into Baltimore, and then go to the Super Bowl and beat the Niners or the Lions, really, at that point. But especially if it was the Niners, that would be as impressive a run as you really could have. I mean, that would
Yeah, I think
solidify.
it would say more about it would say more about his legacy than anything I think he's
For
done
sure.
before this point, especially because the team was, I wouldn't say in shambles, but compared to where they usually are in December, like he really had to pull this team up and put them on his back to get him into the playoffs in December and then storm through the playoffs. Like those are the things that greatness and legends are made of, and that people are going to point to. Yeah, he was amazing before that moment, but that was when he separated himself and put him in that, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning type category in my book.
Well, he's going to play in his 6th straight AFC Championship game. So every year he's been in the league and played, he's played to the AFC Championship game. So he's going to do that on Sunday. If he gets to the Super Bowl, it's his 4th Super Bowl out of the 6 that he's played in.
Yep.
If he wins it, it'd be his 3rd win.
Yep.
Like you start to get to like, it's kind of like a LeBron in the East thing, right? And then you start to say like, oh, maybe he can track down Brady at that point, if because he's in his late 20s at this point. Like there's plenty of time. Like this could go on for a while. Like this is starting to get historical at this point for him.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think too, the other thing that I think about with Brady, and I don't know if this is general consensus, but when he was doing it early on, it was defense, run game. He was not a game manager, but you get the idea. And then he had that great offense with Randy Moss, and then he had a lot of weapons, and all of a sudden he didn't have weapons, but he was winning those Super Bowls. That's to me what I see with Patrick Mahomes right now. He doesn't have the weapons he had previously, and he's doing it himself, and he's finding new ways. And to me, that's a sign of true greatness, is when you're making the guys around you that much better, and you can go win a Super Bowl with, guys not named Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce playing good, but not what he was a couple years ago, and a team that isn't as strong around him, but he makes them better through his own play, but also his leadership.
How do you think Taylor Swift felt about sharing a box with a grizzly bear, shirtless, pounding maybe 100 beers?
Yes, that was amazing, by the way. I love
What a
that.
performance.
And I feel bad. I don't know. Me and Hawk have this argument about if Taylor Swift's doing this for the publicity or not.
No, not anymore.
I'm fully with you guys. Like, she's got everything she needs. The last thing she wants is more publicity. She's just showing up to these games to support her boyfriend and because they're fun. And then all these NFL fans are hating on her because all the TV cameras want to do is find her. So I think she probably liked having Kelce in the booth there going bananas and kind of acting normal around her, right? I think that's probably why she likes being at these football games, because she has people acting normal around her, and I think she probably misses that, being such a celebrity.
It's the most watched divisional playoff game ever.
Yeah, correct. Over 50 million people. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can say what Jason Kelce was doing is normal, but I guess being from Cleveland, we could call that normal behavior at a football game.
My favorite,
he was like a wild bison.
My favorite was when he leapt out. He leapt out of the box,
like
found this
superhero.
little girl that had a Taylor Swift sign, put her on his shoulder like Andre the Giant, walked her up to the booth so that she could meet Taylor, and then brought her back, and then hopped up back into the booth shirtless.
No, he's like a superhero.
Give me more.
Give me more.
Like the final trump card in your argument, Hoff, is she's the most famous female person in the world.
Period.
The end.
Yes.
Full stop.
So
period.
like she doesn't need
way
anything.
before she dated.
Way before.
She's enhanced
Like,
his
come on.
profile
Exponentially.
more than hers.
Yes. Correct. Hoff, last time we had you on, we were talking about the Bayern Munich operation, and then while we were on, we came to light that Franz Beckenbauer had passed.
Yeah.
It's been like a week of mourning. I know you're in Spain and stuff too. What was it like in the country, in that town, in that city, with that giant fallen?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's cool because where I live, I'm like a mile from the kids' school, so we walk the kids to school, or we'll take the bus, and I basically take the subway or the bus pretty much everywhere. And so just like New York City, you walk by and they've got like the newspaper stands, and his face almost all week was on the front page. And when we had our workouts with our team, a bunch of guys were wearing his jersey, which was pretty cool. And I talk about a great way to kind of break down the cultural barriers with my team. Go up and start talking to him about Dirk Kaiser. Thank you, boys, for that, by the way, because they were blown away that an American knew who he was, and that I would go up just out of nowhere and just show my respect. So that was pretty cool. So I appreciate that, guys. I got a lot of brownie points with my team for knowing who that was.
Good. Number one, good. Number two, the idea that you need brownie points with your team to be the offensive line coach of the Munich Ravens in the whatever German football league.
Hey,
to me, hey,
do you have your tickets? Are you going? Do you have your?
Are we
Bayern
going to a
Munich
game?
When are we going? When are you going?
Yeah, so we had a free weekend Saturday, well, half a weekend, because I work out my O line Saturday morning at 7, and then I don't have another workout till Sunday night, because these guys they'll work. It's like the old school NFL. They work during the day, and that's why I'm at a workout now at 8 o'clock with them. But so I had a couple like 36 hours, and we're like, what are we gonna do? So I was like, number one, we got to go to a Bayern Munich game if they're in town. I looked it up. They're not in town this weekend, so I was like, all right, we'll put a pin in that. What's number two we want to do? Let's go to the mountains. Let's go skiing. So we're going to Garmisch-Partenkirchen, and we're gonna rent like a chalet and do some more skiing.
I love it.
But Bayern Munich, I got their schedule pulled up, and we're definitely gonna catch a game. That's the number one priority on our list right now.
I love it. I love
great.
it. This is great. It's great. What an adventure.
One last question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
What was the reaction of the people seated around you at whatever event you were at where Annie came back bearing 48 hot dogs?
Oh, that was great. Hey, what a great video that was.
It's unbelievable.
So we were at the Red Bull Munich hockey game, which is a cool environment. It's like old school, I don't know, maybe 1960s NHL. It's a stadium that only seats like 8,000 people, but it's 100% sold out the whole year. They got a quarter of the stadium is for the away fans, so they're playing Berlin, and them and Berlin have a big rivalry. And so everybody in the Berlin side, it's like a mini soccer game, I would think. They all got flags they're waving. They're waving like the Berlin flag. They're all chanting in German at each other. They're yelling at each other. There's fights in the stands. So we went because my buddy from the Badgers, Ben Street, he's one of their top guys. He's on the team. So we went to the game with his wife, Jess, and their kids. And I had to leave in the second period to go work my guys out. So I jumped on the train and got out of there. And Jess took that video and sent it to me. She goes, your wife is a special one. Because my kids are just complaining like the whole game. We're starving. And she's like, this is not an NFL game. They don't have like concessions everywhere. We can get it wherever you want. But they, I guess, beat her down enough where she went to the concession stand. So she got them like 2 Sprites, 4 hot dogs, a couple of pretzels, and of course she got a beer for herself. So that gave me a lot of love when I saw that, because she's shimmying through the stands like a mouse going under the cracks of the door. And this stadium, it's old school stadium, right? So it's super steep. Like each step is like 18 inches by like 12 inches wide. So I don't know how she made it up there without spilling, but only an American mom of 4 kids could have survived that.
She's an athlete. That's simple.
Yeah, tell that the mean German lady, take some of that. Look at this video.
Oh, yeah.
Some of that.
Yeah, how about that? She couldn't do that. I know that. And my kids, it's great now. They have a nickname for her. Her name is Carolina. I'm sure she's not listening, so we can call her out.
Safe.
Her name is Carolina, and so they call her Karen Raspberry. Middle name Moldy, so they call her Karen Moldy Raspberry. So they're like, she won't know what that is if we're talking about her around her, if we call her the Moldy Raspberry.
Just remember, at any point, if you want a trump card, just remember, we won the World Wars. We won. We beat them. Sorry. I wish, it worked out well for us. We won. You're losers.
Yes.
I'm holding that in the back pocket.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the right moment, and I'm going to have my return ticket bought for the next day.
That's right.
Next day. Yeah, you need a lot of people on the good side there.
That's right.
Yes.
All right, this has been a real treat, buddy.
Oh,
and
my
keep
goodness.
thank it's
Highlight
such a
of my day.
pleasure to share that you're sharing it on the social and get to see the adventures of the Hoff in
I miss
Germany.
them.
Oh, we miss them. But at least we have these wonderful catch-ups.
I mean, gotta have them.
Enjoy your time, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I miss you guys so much. I'm going to go back in there and finish my workout with my guys. I'll send you a video of what our gym looks like. A little different than Berea right now.
I would imagine. Are they like surprised at how strong and jacked you still are?
Yeah. Well, we had a push-up competition, but the dude I was going against, like, we paired up all the team, and any chance I get, I jump in with the guys to try to do stuff that I'm orthopedically able to do. And so there was a push-up competition at the end of our workout on Sunday night, and the one guy that's left, of course, is the fullback. So he looks like Dan Vitale, right? He looks like he's straight out of the Navy SEALs or whatever the German equivalent is. So we do as many push-ups as you can do in 2 minutes. He did 107 strict push-ups all the way with his chest to the ground and all the way up in 2 minutes. And I did 56, I think. And I like my shoulders feel like they're melting like molten lava right now.
Oh,
he doubled up my push-ups. But then after it was over, he goes, "Oh, it's so inspiring. You're so inspiring." And I was like, "Inspiring? You did twice as many push-ups as I did." Oh, man.
You got to get that guy on the Bring Sally Up, Bring Sally Down program.
That's right.
Oh, man. I'm ready.
All right, Hoff.
That's next.
The Hoff.
Good
All right,
talking to you,
guys,
buddy.
appreciate
Yes.
it.
It's
See ya.
amazing. What an adventure. It could have been a reality show easily.
Should have been.
Should have been.
Should
It
have.
really should have been
Yeah.
because it's a hell of a thing.
I like that. I like the first 10 minutes were some of my favorite.
The
10
favorite
minutes.
stuff ever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of life lessons there from the Hoff.
Yeah.
For the
Were you
kids
guys
out there.
taking notes in there?
Should have taken notes, Ocho and Uno. That's marriage right there. He just gave you marriage.
There's been a lot of love advice on the show today
Yeah,
with
yeah.
your light situation at your
Yeah.
home. We had this.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
We're a program that helps the people.
We're
here-
trying
we're here to
to
help
help
the
people. See,
people.
it's about don't care about the life. If you do care about something, then you got to really
Gotta
build
really
that up.
build
You
that up.
gotta, Yeah, maybe
Build up.
barter a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. We'll do a little higher lower coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. In a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little higher lower, presented by Keep It Fun Ohio from the Ohio Lottery, offering easy ways to keep gambling fun, a little better or worse. Hello, Uno.
Hello.
Uno.
So we're going to go back and revisit the rankings that Griff and I made to start the playoffs. We ranked the quarterbacks from 1 to 14 in terms of confidence. I speak for both of us here and formally apologizing to Jared Goff for putting him at 11.
Good job.
Because
Feels
that,
fair.
as you guys both pointed out, needed to be way higher.
Yep.
Because he is now in the NFC Championship
That's
game
right.
for the second time in his career.
Yep.
So for Jared Goff, definitely higher than where we had him at 11.
Yes.
All right,
Agreed.
so is this, if we're to take your list here, so this is all of the quarterbacks in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is
you want to re-rank the remaining 4?
Yeah, so I feel like the idea was we kind of go over what we had done and see if Griff and I did well,
You didn't.
which
No.
we did not at all.
No.
If you look at these 14, we had Jordan Love apparently too low. We had C.J. Stroud
you had
apparently
Jared
too low.
Love. Or Jordan Love. You had him 12, buddy.
Yeah. Too low.
Yep.
Jared Goff too low.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is when we re-rank the new 4, we should probably reconsider some things for these guys.
I think the top 6 should have been Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Purdy, Goff, and Stafford.
Purdy was tough because
Purdy's still a hard one.
Yeah, like I don't know what he
finish
is.
the way he did.
But
he did it. He did it. But it was bad up until then.
But he did.
He did. He deserves credit for that.
They
He also has the
probably-
best operation around him and the best roster around him.
They were going to make the Super Bowl last year if they had Brock Purdy healthy, right? Like
Right.
they were
Yeah,
going to
he-
beat
yeah,
the
he doesn't
Eagles.
lose.
Yeah, you feel like he probably would have. Yeah.
All right.
He's just tough because every time I watch him play, I don't know if he's good or not. But then they keep winning, so I don't.
I think he's good. It vacillates with him. Look at this. Look at this little skip. Oh,
He's
yeah.
got a Cliff Bar. He's got a monk strap. Look at the monk strap.
He
down
does
there.
have monk strap. Yeah, you love
Yeah.
a monk strap
Love a
buckle
monk
on those
strap.
babies.
For sure.
I'm sure that's made of some sort of fine Spanish deer.
Yeah.
So a lanolin. Here's the with this operation that we're doing here. The one that if you were to say, I honestly think Mahomes is far and away one,
That was the easiest one to put.
He's
is-
far and
is
away
And
one.
Mahomes,
two's
yes.
Jackson.
and 2 is without question Jackson. I think you could make an argument that Goff is 3
Sure.
because he's played in a Super Bowl. He's taken a second franchise to an NFC Championship game.
Sure.
And he was really good last week. What was he, 11 to 12 in the 4th? Something like that?
I wonder if you asked Kyle if he could just trade Purdy for Goff straight up, would he do it?
Here's the thing, though. Does Kyle have a blind spot for quarterback?
I mean,
You know what I mean? Like,
he's
he
good
drafted
when he
Lance.
has him. That was a mistake.
He drafted Lance like he wanted Garoppolo and then kind of
Yeah,
didn't.
but Garoppolo, they went to a Super Bowl.
I know, but he didn't really once he had him, he couldn't wait to get out of him,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not like they're not geniuses for landing Purdy. Anybody could have drafted Purdy. They passed over him 6 times. So like he stumbled into Purdy. Like maybe that's just his one blind spot.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know how you make sense of that, how you can be a genius and everything, but for some reason you can't.
Goff certainly
Identify
could run
quarterback.
this offense. I
It's
mean,
like to
there's no
him,
doubt.
quarterback isn't the most important position on the field, and it's just we're going to give you 10 other good players, and he's just got to run what
This
they
is what
do.
it is. This is what it is. It's Ricky Bobby. Kyle Shanahan wants a driver. He does not want a thinker. So what he wants is he wants a guy to throw it where it's supposed to be thrown. I don't need you doing something that isn't necessary. Yeah, that would take the offense to another level, which is probably why he was transfixed by and
Lance.
seduced by Lance. But that's not really what he wants. What he really wants is we're going to run this play this time. Then we're going to run the exact same action. We're going to throw out of it, and you're going to have a guy right here, and I need you to put it on him.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. So Ricky Bobby is a driver. Ricky Bobby's not a thinker. I think that's what Kyle wants. Like he wants a smart guy back to the defense, turns guy is wide open because I designed it that way, and he threw it there accurately. That's what he wants.
Purdy is better than he's given credit for.
And sometimes,
And we'll
but
see.
your dad said
Is
he's
it-
Montana,
Not.
so he's not that either.
No, but he's really good.
So it swerves. it vacillates
Well, and
between
we also-
he's overrated, he's underrated.
Well, and we also put the society we live in the jobs that we do. You
Correct.
assign that based on one game's performance.
Yeah.
Like if he has a horrible game against the Lions, that's the talk. If he lights it up against the Lions, oh boy, Montana's back. Yeah. It's just the way it is. It's just the nature. That's the nature of the beast. I think that you guys had Goff and Love criminally low. I think it turns out you had Tua too high. You had Flacco, unfortunately, too high, and I understand why we did that. And you had it was hard to know it at the time, so maybe where you had Dak relative to his regular season performance was spot on, but it's hard to trust him right now.
Dak was tough because he continually was coming off. He was coming off a fantastic regular season in which he could have won MVP.
Yeah.
And then does the same
He's
thing.
going to finish
in the playoffs.
second because the
Yeah.
voting's done at the end of the regular season, so he'll finish second in the MVP. Here's the thing on let's do a guess the stats for you, Uno, since you're in the place of Gibby. Guess the stats Brock Purdy completion percentage.
This season.
This season. Guess the stats. Z versus Uno. Go ahead.
I'd say 69.
72.
All right, 69.4.
Okay.
He's a lot better at this than Gibby.
Yes.
Yards passing, Brock Purdy this season. Yards passing. 17 games.
He
played 16.
Played 16.
Played 16.
Well, I knew it, and I totally forgot where he was. 4,300?
4150.
4280. This kid's a savant on the stats. He's
Yep.
looking at the NFL stats.
Well, he
a
said
lot.
he had seen it.
Yeah, it's
He's
good
already-
job. So he's
we
seen
did-
it.
we
Yeah,
did-
yeah.
We did hear that.
So he's 69.4, 4280,
Yeah, what's his yards per attempt?
9.6.
Yeah, that led the league, right?
Yeah.
Are you on Pro Football Reference?
And 31 touchdowns, 11 picks.
Yes,
His ratings 113. His QBR was 72.8.
Yes.
I wouldn't have had that.
Yes. Are you on Pro Football Reference?
No, it's on ESPN.
Hold on. I can tell you which of those on Pro Football Reference because they bold it if it
If it's leader.
led the league. He definitely led the league in yards per attempt.
And he doesn't turn the ball over much either, does he?
He did have 11 picks this year. So
Okay.
there were more interceptions in the league this year. We had a couple of years for like Rodgers, Mahomes would be like 42 touchdowns, 4 picks. Like
He also
everybody threw
31 to 11. I mean,
No, sure,
certainly
but like
live with that.
you did see more interceptions this year than
All right,
we
so
have in years
Purdy
past.
led the NFL in the following categories: touchdown percentage, yards per attempt, air yards per attempt, yards per completion, rating, QBR.
That's crazy. Yeah, he was great. He was great. He was great.
By the way, he did not have a single fourth quarter comeback or game-winning drive in 2023 until week 1 of the playoffs. Now he could have had one against us, but Moody missed the kick.
Yeah, and it's weird because like when he was here, the game he played here, he was dreadful. We saw him in person. He was dreadful.
Yeah, but that was pretty much it.
no, true. And then he wasn't good until the last drive last weekend. You know,
He was
so,
bad
like,
against us. He was bad against the Ravens. He was his worst game of the season.
Yeah.
The 2 games where he didn't have Debo for most of the game is what the kids
Yeah,
are
it's kind of
saying.
the correlation.
Yeah.
Here's the
Those were the only 2 games this year that he had below a 64% completion, and then he only had 3 games all year where he completed fewer than 66% of his passes.
Yeah. The amount of, as a different angle of all of this, all of the pressure is on Lamar Jackson.
Of the 4 guys that are
Yes.
left, yeah, he was the
Everybody
most.
else, yeah, there's pressure on the Niners, but it won't be on Purdy. Like if it falls at his feet,
I think
it'll
most
be
pressure,
some on him. I would go
Maybe
Lamar,
that's the better list.
Lamar 1, Purdy 2,
Mahomes
and then
3, Goff
Mahomes
4.
3, Goff 4 from a
Pressure?
pressure
Yeah,
standpoint.
agreed.
I think Goff's totally house money.
Totally.
Mahomes is a lot of house money.
Yeah.
It's all and I think the difference between Jackson and Purdy is significant. You know, if Purdy falls on his face, there'll be a tough off season for sure.
Yeah.
They're at home, all of the things. But this is a Lamar Jackson weekend.
Agreed.
Going to win the MVP, perhaps unanimously again. And if you're at home, you've been rolling for a month. Chiefs aren't what they used to be.
Same thing we said about Josh Allen.
Same thing we said about Josh Allen, which is
Got to be your
why
year.
I'm not going against Mahomes. Can't do it. All right, good job. There you go. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. From Tone here in the last 15 minutes, the Browns interviewing Texans quarterback coach Gerard Johnson today. So that is happening. We had talked about that
Tone?
reportedly. Tone. T. Grossi. He's on it. And then we have this from Connor Orr. It sounds like the Browns offensive line coach Bill Callahan will not be joining his son's staff. Cleveland has been fiercely protective of Bill in recent years. Plus, he's among the highest paid assistant coaches in the NFL. So I don't know what to read for that. I feel like if the kid asks, like, I guess that's interesting. And I don't know what validity to get that. These are all just reports.
From Diana Rossini, former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith has received serious interest from more than 7 teams about joining their staff as the offensive coordinator, per sources. He will have options.
I can't wait to talk to Joe. I want to know about hunting these deer in Bavaria. That's my real focus for this offseason.
30-30.
Yes.
Deer hunting in Bavaria. That's what I want.
Why wouldn't it be?
That's all I want. When they're in the rut in September, I love the idea of that. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.